Saudi Arabia's energy ministry says an oil tanker delivering cargo was hit by a boat full of explosives at Jeddah port. It's described the incident as a terrorist attack. The shipping company Hafnia said its BW Orion vessel was hit by an unidentified external source that caused an explosion and a fire. It comes after another tanker was damaged by a mine off the coast last month. That attack was blamed on Yemen's Houthi rebels. Andreas Krieg's an assistant professor at the Defence Studies Department at King's College London. He's joining us now. It's good to have you with us, as always, Andreas. Put this into some sort of context for us. Is the timing significant in this?
Absolutely. I mean, the greater regional context is obviously United States versus Iran and the maximum pressure campaign where the Iranians are trying to break out. But I think we shouldn't confuse this with this wider regional context and kind of look at the conflict in Yemen as the local context between Saudi Arabia and the Houthis. Obviously, the Saudis want out. They wanted out of this conflict for the last year now. Obviously, pressure is mounting with the new Biden administration as well for the Saudis to leave this conflict. And the Saudis are probably more willing than ever to make concessions in this conflict to get out of what is a protracted conflict that they know they cannot win. The problem now is, what is the role of the Houthis in negotiations to come? What is the role of the Houthis in a future Yemen? And I think the Houthis are trying to double down pressure on Saudi Arabia. We've seen a variety of different attacks against Saudi coming from Yemen, mostly by the Houthis in the last month, missile attacks as well as mine attacks. And this one seems to be just another one of these attacks against, targets which are very vital for Saudi Arabia, as the greatest exporter of oil in the world. The Bab el-Mandeb Strait and the waters of the Red Sea are absolutely crucially important for the oil price and the delivery of millions of barrels of oil every day. So if you make this unsafe, that will have an impact on Saudi Arabia's security. And that is a very, very high target. And that increases the urgency for Saudi Arabia to do something about this Yemen conflict.
Yeah, and because this is a high target, and as we mentioned, of course, before, there have been previous attacks, there are going to be questions, aren't there, about the level and efficacy of security in that region.
Right, and there's quite a lot of speculation here. So the Saudis have admitted that it was an explosive-laden boat or vessel that was basically charged against this oil tanker, which suggests it was very much a low-tech, low-skill kind of job, which is something that the Houthis can do without external support. But the question that rises then is, if obviously this is a high target, and the Jeddah port is obviously a very, very high security risk or a high security target, then you would make sure that obviously this port is adequately secured. And it's kind of, in the current context, kind of surprising that the Saudi authorities have not had it better under control and made sure that something like this cannot happen. Because if an external vessel can come inside the port and actually attack while a tanker is being unloaded, this is obviously, this should not or must not happen. So that suggests then that possibly this might have been an external a device of a different type, like the ones that we've seen last year being used against targets off the coast of Fujairah in the United Arab Emirates, where again it was most likely Iranians and Iranian mines that were glued on and stuck on to the outside of these vessels and then exploded. If it was one of these sort of attacks executed by Iranians directly, that is something that I can see the Saudis being unable to deter and actually to deal with at the moment. But if it is actually this kind of low-skilled boat being driven into the port and then exploded, that is something that Saudi authorities should have better under control.
Andreas Krieg, always good to have you on Al Jazeera to give us the benefit of your experience and expertise. We appreciate it. Thank you very much indeed.